Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Alex Reyes, and I'm here with Alex Dingmann, A&A, right? Point Fighter Live. What's going on, man? How's everything?
Everything is great here in the Chicagoland area. We're just loving the sport karate world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How's the weather right now? If you guys are just tuning in, we're giving you guys a few minutes to get in and share it. I'm gonna be sharing it too. We're gonna start real short. Just we're starting out with the intro. So, how's Chicago right now? How's the weather up there right now?
I
It's
mean,
not cold anymore, right?
it's not cold, but it's raining a lot. Like,
Oh man, rain! It's raining over there too.
yeah,
It's been raining in Miami. I mean, in Florida for like a week at least, a week and a half.
yeah,
Like
it's been
it's
nonstop.
it's pretty crazy. Wow, I didn't know that it was raining up there too, like that. But if you guys are just joining us, there you go. I just shared it. Give us some power, and yeah, man.
Power.
So yeah, give us some power. Exactly. So, hey, so Infinity National Championships, congratulations. You won the tournament, and you won the event, and it's your second time going, right? And just
Yeah,
give us, you won the open weight, you won team fighting, you won the overall. You basically swept the tournament, and there was some good competition, right? So just give us a rundown of the event and just you know,
yeah. I'll
or
give you a
you.
rundown.
Mhm.
Well, I didn't win team fighting.
Oh, you did it?
Didn't win team fighting.
Oh
It was
man, okay.
close, but no.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
Willie Hicks had some miraculous like anchor fighting moves at the end, which I'll tell you about later. But we did. I'll just tell you about now.
So
So
good strategy. Yeah, the tournament Friday was teams, right? So
no, actually, it was so cool.
Saturday?
They did all of it Saturday. It was
Wow, that's
super
good. How
cool.
do you like that? How did you like teams on Saturday? Did you like that?
I liked it. I liked it
Yeah,
a lot.
I
They
know.
did it all in one day.
I think that's a good idea. I know that Blitz Mayan does it. Jeremy, he does on Saturday, right? And then it gives people a chance because some people can't get there Friday early, right? So you have more fighters right there, and I think it's a good idea. I mean, it's just more time though. I mean, if you in a national tournament, that probably can't be done, but
Well, it all depends
it all
on
depends.
if your national tournament
Yeah,
can really support that. If it can do that, if it can
yeah.
house that, if it can make it happen.
But it worked
uh,
out good at this one, right? It worked out good
Super
at this one.
cool. And so the Infinity National Championships was an unsanctioned event. It was its own thing. So they had different rules for forms that didn't go just with what NASCA did or just with what NBL did, et cetera, et cetera. But they did the same thing with fighting. And so, well, we all wanted to know, okay, what's the rules regarding this? What's the rules regarding this? And for the most part, we were all just fine with it. I kind of like this movement of the unsanctioned thing. I don't know if that's what Mike Welch and Jeff Orlowski, if that's what they want to do and just say, we're not going to ever be sanctioned, but it's pretty cool. They,
Well, the tournament's been growing too, right? Like last year was
yeah,
NBL, right? But this year was the first year that it went off on its own. How the tournament was looked a good size too,
it was
right?
bigger.
Without
It was bigger this year than last year,
yeah, so
and I kind of have
independently.
this idea. If you know Mike Welch,
Mhm.
Mike, he's a pro, and he's just a martial arts pro. And I'm sorry, did I lose you there for a moment?
Yeah, yeah. Somebody
Sorry.
called you, I think, right?
All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That happens.
It's
I
my
figured.
wife. It's my
So
wife.
go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah,
honey.
he's a pro. So Mike is a pro.
So I knew this thing was just going to eventually grow. So when I went last year and I lost, I I thought in the back of my head like that's going to be possibly one that you're going to look at like, did I really let the win of this tournament slip away? Because I knew eventually it was going to be some big names that were going to be winning this tournament.
Yeah,
But Willie Hicks is there, so it's a big name. He's more accomplished than me by far. So
yeah, man. Yeah, that's where you could see. Yeah, exactly. Like there's been some names coming in, but now you got some names like Willie coming in from not in the area. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So that's when you know a tournament's growing too, for real. Yeah.
And Jeff Orlowski and Mike Welch, they did this thing the right way. It's a high class venue. It's in a great resort. I mean, the Kalahari Resort is in the Wisconsin Dells area. So if you don't know Wisconsin Dells is like the water park capital of the country.
Yeah.
And indoor and outdoor, they've got like go-karts inside. They've got all sorts of amusement that you could think of. This place has its own movie theater. Like it's
Wow.
great. Right. So as far as entertainment and things to do, they're set. They got it. So there's just that. So it's a great place, and they do it the right way. They did all the fighting and all the forms, all the eliminations were done by 12:45.
Wow. No way. That's super fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super fast. Yeah.
Cool.
That's great.
Now, the rules for the fighting, as far as I have it down and remember, they just did it simple. They just decided, here's what we're going to do with this. Here's what we're going to do about that. 1 point kick to the body, 2 point kick to the head, and then it's going to be jump will add one more to your technique. So if it's a jump, turn, kick to the body,
Uh-huh.
if it's a jump, turn, kick to the body, it's 2 points. If it's a jump, spin, kick to the head, it's 3 points, etc., etc. This is kind of what
Okay.
Waco does with that.
How about a jump punch? A jumping punch? No? No?
Didn't ask that. Don't think that's going to do anything. All right.
Yeah.
So, and then there was a few things that we asked about. Is there a timeout? Yes, there's a timeout. Is there a? It was a big question. Is are we going to stop time in the last 30 seconds for each clash? Which I'm very much against. Mike was kind of in favor of it, but asked everybody else what they thought. Not at the tournament, at the day of. He already decided what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And I talked to Hamid Farouzi about this. He and I are very opposed on this thing of stopping in the last 30 seconds. And I understand his point of view. And he says, if you're trying to catch up, which is the whole reason, that's what this is all about. If you're trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And the judge is taking a long time. Did you score? Did you score? No point. Like, in Hamid's view, when he was communicating with me, he's like, there's just no way. There's no way you can catch back up. Now, here is my thought process in that. My thought process is, okay, in the last 30 seconds, if I'm up 3 points, point fighting is not super easy to do. It's not easy to get the points.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to judge the points. So if we all understand why we're stopping in the last 30 seconds, it's to give the other person a chance to catch up. And there's a close call. Take a guess who's going to get that point. The person who's down.
The person who's down. Yeah,
right.
The person who's down usually gets, caught. They start to get the cause, right? They start getting that momentum, and then the judges, the crowd gets into it. The judges they're like, they start just giving points for anything. You're right. I've seen that happen a lot of times. You're right about that.
Right. We shouldn't change the rules based on the crowd. We shouldn't change the rules of our matches, of our sport, based off of what we want the spectators to be, which is why the super fights didn't work, because nobody could figure out what the rules were. Nobody could figure out what they wanted to do with that. So we ended up changing rules like no back fist or no front hand can score, which is silly.
Yeah. I like keeping it simple. When you keep it simple, that's when there's like the least amount of mistakes by the judges too. You know what I mean? And like now you have this thing with, this type of fighting for open weight and this type of fighting for points. Although now open weight is pretty much the same as points.
Same thing.
Much, right? But unless there's like a Waco rules on one day, right? The open weight and then the NASCAR regular divisions on one day, or like WKC rules, like then there's still a little bit of mix-ups there. But I mean, if you're a good judge and you know your rules, and it shouldn't be. But I like this. I like it simple. Like this weekend I was at the Blitz tournament. Daytona was great. I just got back from it. They had 1 point for every kick, even if you jumped, and 1 point to the body, right? To the body, 2 points to the head, right?
Okay.
1 point for punches. So it was just basically simple. You know what I mean? Even though some people do some spin kicks and jumps and they were like, oh, is it 2? And they're like, no, it's just 1. People are just used to the 2-point jump kicks or 3, Yeah.
That's a good idea to think about keeping it simple.
So what's another thing with the jumping? Now that you're talking about it, at the tournament, Yoskar was fighting. I think it was a beta, right? And he jumped. He was kind of going out of bounds, and Albeda was coming in and Yoskar was coming out. He jumped and he did a back fist inside the ring, but when he landed out. And then
Yeah.
there was a arbitration there about if it was a point or not. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
What did they
So
decide?
they gave him the point, but then
What
I
did you
talked.
what do you think should be? What do you think that should be?
It's kind of like college, right? It's kind of like the college. I think if you have 1 foot in bounce, it's a point, right? I mean, it's a catch, but in NFL you got to have 2 feet type of thing, right? Um,
Yeah.
Man, I think if you're jumping in the air and you score, right? And then you gotta get pushed out. You're kind of still like it's like you're fighting out. Then it's a point. But if you're kind of
That,
like you're gonna jump out of bounds and you throw the punch and it hits and then you go out of bounds, then I think it shouldn't be a point. You know what I mean? If you know you're gonna be out of bounds, go out of bounds when you're jumping and throwing it, I think it shouldn't be a point. But if
see,
you're
there's some subjectivity to that though.
yeah, yeah,
Like, well,
but
is
it's too
it
hard to
what you need
call.
to do?
Exactly. You'll be like, "Oh, was he forced out or did he do it on purpose?" And that's a gray area. So, I think
Yeah,
that's where they
that's
were
intent. Nobody.
I think that's why they just said just go with the call that they had and that's it cuz they said point and then after they talked about it, then they were like everybody was kind of like, it's subjectivity, right? It's like it's everybody had a different opinion if he was being forced out or he jumped out. So they just kept it as a point. But what would you call there?
I call it a point. Now, here's what I would do though: is if he did it and he fell, even if he fell out of bounds or if he fell inbounds, I'll say no point. You're not in control. You know, but if he jumps, let's say it's a jump back fist, which is I'm assuming what it was.
Yeah,
He jumps, does a back fist, but he's inbounds, jumps out of bounds, but he's in the air. He hits the back fist and then he lands. I mean, that should still be a point. He scored when he was in the air from being in bounds. So when he
yeah,
left the ground, he's still in bounds. He's in bounds all the way until he's out of bounds, but he's not out of bounds until his feet hit the ground.
yeah,
So
right.
he should get the point.
Yeah, I think if you're like, yeah, but if there's some jumping fadeaway back fists that are just if you know you're gonna go out and you throw it. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that would be a point. Especially if it's not a solid point. That's my opinion. I'm gonna look back at the video and see if I could post it. If I got a good angle on it, that'll be a good one. Hey,
That'll be the
so
next
but
YouTube
Yoskar,
judge.
man, and we're gonna have him on Wednesday. I think we're gonna interview him, and that guy's like a legend from Venezuela. He's great here. It's cool to see him and later in his career, not being too old to still do it here and get more wins here in the U.S. But
Yeah,
he's like 37 probably right now, around there. But he doesn't look it, and you could see he's getting better as the more tournaments he's going to here. Like he's adjusting to the rules of the U.S. pretty much. That's how I see it, and he's training hard. So I can't wait to talk to him. It's gonna be a Spanish interview. He doesn't speak English, but I'll try to translate. And I'm working on my Spanish too. But hey, so back to you. Back to you. So
oh, the Infinity Nationals.
yeah,
So
so
yeah,
you
the
won.
team fights went.
Yeah,
Here's how the team fights went. I team fought with Dominic Crago and Alonzo Payne, both my students, both from my high school. And
school team, nice.
yeah, school team.
They're saying NK Power. Joe,
Yeah,
Joe,
tell me whatever the comment. I can't see the comments. So
yeah, right now Joe Trammell, what's up, man? He's NK2, right? He's like
yeah,
he's saying
yeah. Joe's from
NK
Minneapolis.
Power right there. And Maria says Power, what's up? Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have any questions for Alex, let us know, or any topics as we're talking, let us know, and we'll talk about it here. So
So
yeah, so you
we went through. There was 4 teams. We beat a team, and then Willie Hicks teamed up with 2 guys from Minnesota, and then they ended up beating a team, and we fought in the final, and
right,
and it came down to um, Dominic and Willie fighting in the anchor round, and I wanted it that way, and we had a lead, not a big one. These guys were not national level. Willie coached these guys up really well. I
he
couldn't.
had the strategy. He had the
Yeah,
strategy good,
he
right?
did a good job.
The
I couldn't
matchups.
hear everything he was telling them, and
Yeah,
I was trying. but he coached these guys up really well. In
Well,
fact,
he's learned. Well, his instructor is Plowden, so he's probably learned. He's learned his X's and O's and strategies from one of the best. So.
and as I'm fighting this guy, I'm thinking, there's no way you just randomly decided to fight completely differently than what you've ever done in your life, right? Unless you listened well. So, one, he coached them up well. Two, they were coachable people. So that was really good. In the end, Willie had a crazy drop, but it was kind of like a jump. Spin kick, it gets 3 points. They end up, I think they win by 3 points. And yeah, and Willie's team won the team final. And then for the open weight,
Willie's watching right now. He says thanks, and he says, I don't know which Alex he's talking to, but you just as slick. Maybe he's talking about both of us, right? I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe you're the fighter right now, right? But I'm a coach. Maybe maybe I'm just
yeah,
as slick too when it comes. So I don't know. Maybe hopefully he means both. But
we'll just go with it as that. So
yeah.
open weight, because they had an open weight too. They had a number of guys in the open weight. I think they had 8 of us. And then in the open weight, it came down to Alonzo Payne and I fighting for the final. I don't know if you've ever had this happen at a tournament before. I don't know if you've ever been a part of this. I'm assuming you've seen everything.
So so Alonzo Payne and you were in the finals, right?
Yeah, we're fighting for the final.
Right.
Now, Alonzo and I fight every week, multiple times. All right. And when we do it, we are just trash talking each other the whole time we're doing it. We're just cracking jokes left and right. We were like that close to doing it in the middle of the fight. And the whole time, like, we're just eyeballing each other. I have to assume you've seen something like that before.
Where 2 teammates are just talking trash.
Yeah, or like schoolmates, and they're just trash talking each other or cracking jokes with each other in the middle of the match.
Oh yeah, in the school for sure. In the school.
No, I mean in a tournament.
In the dojo.
At the school, I do that all the time. I'm talking about in the tournament.
Yeah, I remember my juniors doing that. They used to smack talk to each other and like, oh, you just got scored on, and when they would fight each other, and then their teammates in the back going, oh, this, yeah, I have seen. So but you guys didn't go through with it, right? No,
we kind of were doing that.
Yeah. Hey, Dean says what's up as well. Yeah, Dean Barry.
So yeah. I beat Alonzo for the final, and then it ended up Willie made it for the final for the point fighting match, and I made it to the final for the point fighting match. And the 2 of us met.
Hey, Alonzo says he always wins too.
Alonzo don't win nothing. Alonzo gets whooped.
That's funny. So you and Willie.
Yeah, we fought in the final.
And it was 3-2, right? Close fight. Well, now with Willie, you just got to keep it close, right? Like, because it's gonna be until the end. That's kind of how he fights too. He kind of keeps things close, and then bam, at the end he pulls off the win. Kind of when he fights, that looks like his strategy a lot when he's fighting, especially big names. He just. And that's a strategy I know that my brother used to use. Keep it close and like bam at the last few seconds, just take the win. So what was the strategy with him?
Well,
fighting?
Let me tell you that I feel like I'm pretty smart about the way this game goes because I haven't been. And let me explain what I mean by that. Like, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Just probably the only reason why I feel like I'm pretty smart. I'm definitely not the smartest. All right. I listen to what other people do. I listen to what other people say. And that's where I figure out a lot of this stuff. But Willie and I fought once before. And he put the whoop on me. We fought in team fights a couple years ago. And I tried to go out there and I haven't fought him before. And I felt like, okay, I feel like I can have some success with this. No. All right. I felt like, all right, I'm longer than him. My leg will be able to reach him. I can handle this. Nah, I didn't kick him one time.
And Willie's the type of guy that could adjust too. He'll fight you one way one time, and he'll fight you a different way another time. Like, he could switch both sides, I think, right?
And
he switches. He kicks both really well with both legs. Like this guy is for real. He's very versatile for
He's a
sure.
martial arts athlete.
He's kind of like those running backs that could do it all. Like they could
Yeah.
run, make the catch, block. Run for 1,000 yards. He's kind of one of those backs.
Yeah.
But yeah. So go ahead.
So we have fought before, and so I did have to change up the strategy, and but I could also tell when we were fighting in the final, he changed up his as well, and so it literally worked out that way that you were talking about. We were both trying to keep the other person from scoring. We were 2-2. There was 17 seconds left. I scored and then was able to hold it off and keep the win. I'll tell you something though. Those awards for the grand championship,
Yeah.
those are something else. It's cool.
Yeah, they were. They do a good job, and I think they make some of those themselves, right? Maybe
He makes them all himself.
Yeah, he makes them all himself. That's incredible. So that's pretty good. And for a promoter, that's awesome. Like you probably save money too.
Well, I don't know. It depends on how
or
much.
maybe not. Maybe or it could be something if you make your awards yourself. Actually, when I do stuff myself, I end up paying more. Right? Because I want to do it really nice, and I want to prove that I can do it.
Just for the grand championship awards
yeah.
too.
Yeah. No, they do. So those are like handcrafted, man. So those things are like they're expensive. Actually, if he was to sell those, right? If he was to sell those to other people, one of a kind stuff right there. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. You could see that they have a lot of passion for the tournament too, and to grow it. And like that's like their baby, and their customer service is excellent in the event.
Here's and good too.
Hey, so I got some questions for you. You have, I always remember you as a kicker, right? I always remember you as a kicker, and and lately, I know you've had hip issues, and you're starting to punch more now, and so how's that adjustment been? I know you've done seminars, like you've gotten into the seminars with like of great punchers, like you've had Avery at your school, Jody, right? You've done seminar with Jody, like and stuff like that, like so just how have you adjusted, and it's important. Do you think it's important to adjust your fighting as you get older, and adapt? Like how important is that?
I'm going to talk about the seminars in just a moment, but I'll tell you about how I was able to adapt. It wasn't because I was smart and figured, you know what? I should do this. No, because that would be the smart thing to do. All right. I have not typically learned, right, the right way. I've learned because I screwed it up the wrong way and then figured it out. But you know what? As long as I figured it out. But
that's the way life is, man. That's the way life is. You figure it out. That's it.
I'd rather learn from other people's mistakes. It just so happens I end up learning from them. Whatever, I'm learning. So this is true. This is what happened right before Willie and I went on stage to fight with each other. I'm in the back room. There's a warm-up room, which is so cool that the tournament has that, by the way. It's kind of like the Diamonds. But anyway, so I'm in the back, and I'm warming up, and I'm stretched. I'm feeling loose, and I have to have X amount of time to warm up. And I'm like, all right, well, let me slide and kick. I did a slide double, and I crumbled to the ground. My hips hurt so bad.
For real? Wow.
I'm joking. And I'm like, okay, well, that is potentially out of the question. I was like, all right, let's bounce it a little bit. I tried angling and blitzing. Mid-blitz, my hips freeze up, and I hit the ground.
Wow.
What the hell am I going to do? What the heck am I going to do? All right? So I basically couldn't even warm up. I'm like, well, we'll see what this old man can do. And that's
just winged it.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't warm up. Yeah, you had to.
I couldn't really warm up. I knew I couldn't go kicking.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be really fast. What are you going to do? So you have to manage space, and that's been the biggest thing is managing space. And I think our sport in the 90s and might have had some of the best athletes as far as fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, Pedro Xavier was Pedro Xavier.
Yeah.
Right? And Jason Borelli was coming right behind him. He was still in the 90s when he was competing.
Yeah.
All right. Jason Borelli's been around forever. And but as you're doing this, I mean, everybody could do everything. They were so athletic because there wasn't guys in their mid-30s fighting at a high level. This just wasn't happening, right?
Yeah,
It,
that is true.
it didn't happen. There was the 30 to 39 division because did they really stand a
Well, back then it
chance in
was
the old?
35. Back then it was 35 and up, right? Wasn't I think it was 35 and up.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, yeah, because
it
none of
was
those
18 to
guys were
34.
really going to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, I think Willie's 33.
Willie's 33.
I
Yeah, he
think
doesn't
that
look it.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it said. Maybe he's 32.
May yeah, I
Right?
think he's around there. He's around 32. Yeah,
And
32. Yeah, I think he's
so
around 32. Yeah.
just think about that. Some of the best fighters in the world, some of, not all, some of are in their 30s. So I think it's just changed a little bit. And so
Yeah.
um what I've learned from other people, what I've learned is this is all about spacing. It's just spacing, just distance and timing.
For sure.
And then
Yeah.
so speaking of seminars, you were talking about seminars. So the day before I went to the Infinity National Championships, Avery Plowden was at my karate school and he did a seminar for just under 50 people for my school.
Nice.
And I would have loved it if I could have done a bunch more. We just had an intramural tournament the day before, and it was or the weekend before, so it was just a lot of people doing a lot of events.
Yeah.
More that were happening like that next day. So, but I mean, if you have not had an opportunity to have Richard Avery Plowden out to your karate school or tournament to do a seminar, you guys need to book him like right away.
Yeah, for sure. He's the man, and he's one of the top. I would say he could be rated number one right now in the country.
He's
right?
undefeated. He's undefeated
Defeated.
for the year.
Yeah.
Like that's just crazy. We're in
Yeah.
the end of May.
And
He's
he's undefeated.
undefeated for the year.
He just won too. He just won this past weekend too. He
Yeah,
won
just
Terry
yesterday.
Kramer's tournament, right? He won
Yeah.
Terry Kramer's tournament. Yeah. For sure. That's awesome, bro.
And
Yeah.
he's a true champion. And when you have him out, he's extremely humble. And so he and I have a pretty good relationship in that. And I told him, listen, I'll have you out to my school as long as both of us can make it happen. I'll have you out here all the time. So he's just really good. And Willie and I were talking about that and how important that is. But one of the things that Willie and I were talking about was that this is an opportunity that I didn't really have that much of when I was trying to become better in the sport when I was younger.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so much of the reason why was because there's just so much pride as to, well, I'm not going to have this guy come
Before there was a lot of ego and people, oh, this guy's gonna come. I don't need no seminars. I don't need to learn from anybody. I got this. You're right. It's true. Yeah, it still exists in some parts of the
Oh, it
country
does.
too. But I think that areas like Florida and like New York, where they're always training, they're cross training different schools. That does happen, but there are areas I think like that they keep their camps separate, and that mentality of like, but that's kind of gone now, right? But it's kind of in all sports is like that. Like LeBron practices, with Chris Paul and they're good friends, and like they, with Dwayne Wade, and that's kind of like a thing that's happening in a lot of sports now, where it's a friendship and just everybody's open to learn from each other. So I think it's a good thing too. I think it's a good thing.
Let's look at it like this, Alex. You
Yeah.
went to karate school. You've probably heard your parents tell you this a lot of times, where the parents of your students, where you will tell some of your students one thing, and the parents of the student will come to you later and said, I've been telling them the same thing, but it doesn't mean anything to the student or the child when the parent tells it to them. But when you tell it to them, all right, they perceive you as someone different. That happens all the time, right?
Oh man, that's true. Yeah.
So for us as the instructor, well, who do we have that can do that same thing to them?
Yeah, man.
We need another person.
That's a great point.
So why not? All right, it's not gonna cost us money. If you do it right, it's gonna make you money. So do it right. Get these people in there.
Hey, that's a great point, bro. That's a great point. Yeah.
And even if it costs you money, let's say it costs you, and you didn't break even on it, which you should, but anyway, let's say you lost $500, all right, which is not that big of a loss. If you did, all of those people who just took that seminar, let's say it's someone like Avery Platt, none of them are going to quit karate now. None of them are going to quit. You just locked up however many people were in that seminar for another 2-3 years
Yeah, you're
because
right.
they are jacked up off of this.
Yeah, that's true.
Who you just put in front of them. So you didn't lose $500. You just gained $3,000-$4,000.
Yeah, the energy of the whole school goes up when you bring guys in like that. You know what I mean? That's like that's a thing that everybody should be doing, and you learn from it too. You learn, the kids learn, and you learn something. I know when I've been to seminars, there's things I teach, and just motivational things too, not just about drills. You know, these guys are like very inspiring, and motivational speakers as well. So you learn a lot as well. But yeah, man. So you've learned a lot of the spacing, right? The spacing, and like
This, uh,
that's been a big thing in your fighting, right? That's helped you get better. I mean, become more of a puncher now, right? Is learning that distance. Which, if you guys want to learn about that, you have to take the seminars, right? Avery's good at that. The spacing, Jody has great. You know, anybody of the TCK guys, and it's true, man. It's the space. It's so important, measuring your guy and having that space, and you know, and what to do when someone's in that space. So that's very important. Hey, so we got Jacob Wolfman too. He was at the tournament with the martial arts studios, right? He's doing his thing too. Hey, as we're talking, I'm not gonna. I have some events to advertise, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to put the picture up of each tournament that are coming up, point fighter approved events and sponsors as we're talking, but we're not going to interrupt. We have to end the show
we
in
got to get
about 10 or 15 minutes, so I don't want to stop and keep going, but I do want to promote these great tournaments as well. So go ahead. So, Infinity Nationals, great tournament, right? Any closing anything you want to say to close out about the event?
Yeah, this event's just going to get bigger and bigger. So if you were thinking about, well, maybe I'll go, I was thinking about it. People just need to go because it's a good tournament, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to have a great time. There's few tournaments that I know of that are guaranteed that you're going to have a positive experience, and that's one of them.
Jacob says he made sure to make Alex look good this year. To make you look good this year.
You know what Jacob did though? Jacob did something super cool. So the Infinity Nationals promo, he took the winners for everybody who won, who was going to be in the finals, and he
Yeah,
did like a little interview with them backstage.
that's
Um,
awesome.
and he used those clips and clips throughout the day as to when he was going to put in the video. So, and he asked a lot of us, the same questions, or say, hey, why don't you say this to a bunch of us? But it was really cool, and that I think is just great. So what that's doing is also solidifying that you're going to have something going in the works for next year right away. Jacob's a good videographer too.
Oh yeah, he's awesome with that. No, and like that's really good to have somebody like that at your tournament because it'll build your tournament for the following years. Like he's got great footage of the event, like you said, that they could help use for next year's promos and stuff. So it's always good to have as much social media, stuff there, and like just media companies there, because you get so much stuff that can help build your tournament, and that's really important. But yeah, Mike Welch, he's saying that the new promo video is on fire. It's already out, the new promo video.
Oh, you didn't see it? Yeah. You gotta check it out. It's
Oh,
cool.
I gotta see it. I know that they have the new dates for it. So for next year, Mike, let us know what's the date, and I'll post it up here so people can start making plans. Don't miss this event. This event is definitely a growing event, and it's a top awesome tournament. So this weekend, I'm actually gonna be at the Jam On Nationals. Right, I'm gonna be at the Jam On Nationals. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be we're going to be interviewing this week. We got Yoskar, the winner of last week's tournament, Daytona Blitz Daytona. So we're gonna have another show this week. And hey, I want to ask you, what's next for you? What's the next tournament you're going to?
I'm at a tournament this weekend also. I'm
Yeah,
at the Battle for the Troops in Warrenville, Illinois. Jeremy
nice.
Talbot's hosting that one. It's a good event. And then it'll be the WKC Nationals.
Nice, the WKC Nationals. That's really cool. That's a growing league as well. Like it's pretty cool how it's growing, and you just seeing it over the years, just getting bigger and bigger, and the culture of the WKC is really growing. And like it's not just growing in the U.S. Like it's growing. Like I know Guatemala, Luis Morales has a big following, and then Malcolm Evans just had a tournament that was Point Fighter Proof 2, that had people from all over. So they're like they work together. It's not just about the worlds, like they're
Right.
building other tournaments as well, and I like that. I've had you in the U.S. There's been a few events that have been also like Jesse Ray's, Kate Talk, Chance Turner's, right? Proper. So it's kind of gaining momentum too in the U.S. But it looks like it's gonna be big this year too, right? The Plowden's tournament and WKC USA Nash, because it's Plowden has a tournament on Sunday,
Yeah.
and then the day before is the tryouts, right?
If,
Yeah.
so if you qualified for the WKC, just freaking go. All right. And because you got to go to the tournament the next day. The tournament the next day, I'm so bummed I'm not going to be able to go to the tournament the next day. The
Oh
tournament the
no.
next day, the Pro-Am, the Great Lakes Pro-Am,
Yeah.
he's giving out $1,000 for the men
Nice.
and the women overall.
That's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
I can't go because I'm going to Chicago Blues Fest. I don't miss Blues Fest. Blues Fest it's phenomenal. So
That's
true
awesome.
story. It's true why I'm not going to be there.
Hey, Mike says that next year it's May 10 and 11, so make sure you mark it in your calendars already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Jacob saying he actually put the link up of
Oh, for the
the
promo?
promo, so I'll post it too as well.
Yeah.
And a good job to you guys. Hey, so we got a few more minutes. I got like 5 minutes. You have a subject you want to talk about, or you
You
want to
know,
get into?
yeah, we were kind of talking about the world championships. And
Yeah.
so I had this conversation with someone,
Uh huh.
and last November, right after I got back from the WKC Worlds, and I said, I love what the WKC Worlds is doing. I said, I'll go back each time. They run a good event. This person kind of looked at me like side-eyed, like, yeah, but it's not Waco. And I said,
Who said that? I thought you said somebody said that. Okay, I thought
somebody
you said
did
it.
say that.
Okay, so no name, no name. You don't have to
Somebody
say
did say that.
name.
All right. So anyway, so they say, yeah, but you don't have the best fighters from Europe there. I said, right, but you have the best fighters from America there and Canada. And this person was like, exactly. And I said, okay, if you put the best fighters from America in Waco, who's favored to win? The Americans and the Hungarians. Just the same, right?
That's true.
So what's the difference? So and if all the best fighters from America, okay, if you put Richard Avery Plowden, Ross Levine, Jack Felton, Ross Cook, Kevin Walker, all right, etc., etc., you put all of them in Waco, aren't they still favored to win the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, but what I love about what the WKC does is they do it every year, not every other year.
Yeah, that is
Do it
true.
every year.
You
So,
know, you know what? You know what too? Like I've been talking to a lot of Europeans lately. Now that I set up the Point Fighter Europe, and like Waco, the Irish Open's the biggest tournament in Europe right now, right? Of course, it's one of the biggest in the world. But
the Austrian Classic.
yeah, right. And then the Irish Show, and then they got a few other ones that are pretty big. But then there's like I've heard that
Drop off.
WKU has a lot of big events as well, and like WKC Malcolm Evans tournament had like 1,000 competitors there. I heard too.
See?
So you're talking about like, I think that Waco gets his fame right in the U.S. because you have those Waco fighters that come here and they've won. You know what I mean? So that's where you get the that's the quality, I guess. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of other leagues over there that are big too. And another thing that's about, when you have a world championship in Europe and you have a bunch of countries, right? Like all those countries are like states almost, right? Like you could drive to all of Europe. I think in I think Mario West told me like 30 hours or something.
Yeah.
So to all of Europe. So it's kind of like
I'm
states,
not
right?
going to do hours.
Yeah, it's kind of like states almost. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so, you could say, oh, there's 30 countries here, but they're all together. So
Yeah.
it's easier to come. But but when you start getting the countries from like Central, South America, North America, and all over the place, that's where it becomes something like that. Another thing with Europe tournaments, right? Too, like or the United States, something that I've noticed too, like sponsors don't sponsor USA teams. You know what I mean? Like, but in Europe, you have top 10 that sponsors team Germany, the German team. You have the Hungarian team. You have this team. They kind of quant sponsors. I think UK, right? You have the sponsors the country, and you don't have
Well,
those national teams like here, right? In Europe, it's a whole different setup in both areas. So in Europe, it's kind of geared for world championships, but in the US, the national teams are geared for nationals and not world championships as far as sponsorship money is concerned. You know what I mean? And teams, you know?
but here's what I like about what Europe does is well, the culture in which top 10 as a sponsor does that.
Yeah.
Top 10 will sponsor an individual.
Oh yeah, they do sponsor individuals too.
And I like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the way that they do that. And I think that sometimes sponsors in America should do the same thing. They should do a similar thing. All right. And
Yeah.
yeah, you could totally do that. So if ASG just wanted to sponsor one extra person, all right, and that person did team fighting as well, well, yeah, they're still going to wear all the ASG stuff. Or if they wanted to do that with another company, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's another avenue.
Yeah, that is smart. But if
Yeah,
ASG, let's say if Jason Chen likes somebody, right? He has a good eye for talent too, right? I guarantee you that an ASG team or any other team's gonna want that guy too.
well,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's a different culture. You know what I mean here, but
Now here's the other
like
thing.
as far as for me, like I've always thought about like, okay, let's say I have my team. It'll be cool if my guys were in a team on a USA team, right, or a Mexican team, because I have some Mexicans. But what would I get as a sponsor in return? Like if I was to get, it would be cool to make it a team event for my team as well. But how could we get you know me in there? You know what I mean? Since I'm the sponsor, you know what I'm saying? So that's like probably how sponsors think as well. Like think about it, Paul Mitchell sponsoring USA guy, right? And let's say back then Jotty Tension or whatever, like, and then they
Yeah,
go USA, they're wearing USA, right? They're not wearing nothing Paul Mitchell. So the sponsors really don't get much in return unless maybe they'll be open to allowing a patch of the sponsor on there or something like that, on the USA team. Maybe that's something that they could be open to.
yeah, but
But it's different because
yeah,
you have it, you can't do that. It's not like somebody goes to the Olympics and has a Chicago Bulls jersey. And you know what I mean? You got to wear Team USA. So
right,
that makes no sense at all,
yeah,
right? So it would just have to be the sponsors' goodness of their heart to help their player go fight for USA if they need it and they want to, right? That's just
right.
where it becomes a good team owner. That's where it would come down to, right?
People should comment with other ideas. Comment with more
Yeah, let
ideas.
us know. Let us know. That's a complicated one right
It
there,
is. It is.
and that is a good topic too. You know what I'm saying?
Here's
But
Now here's something else I was thinking about. We're talking about world championships. If you are a forms competitor, there is no reason or benefit to ever competing for a world title.
no,
None. None.
if your forms,
If you have won a NASCA overall in
yeah,
form,
that's the hardest thing to do, right?
ever, you
Yeah,
already are a world champion. If you are rated number one and you have won multiple overalls, no, you are the best in the world. In fact, I'll take it a step further. You might be the best in history. That's the great thing about forms. You
But it
can
could
have,
be like that for fighting too. I mean,
no, you
I've
could
seen
go back.
tournaments. I've seen a tournament like Diamonds have Trevor, Raymond, Tankson, Palmero, like yeah, and then you have the Hungarians in there, the Roman, right? You got the best from and
Yeah,
Hector Celorio in there. You got you got the best from everywhere, and you win. That itself is like
that's the best.
right
That's better.
because you
That's
win the
better.
gold.
That's better
You
than a world title
you
almost.
win a gold in a world title, your division. You know, you may fight one guy or two guys, but
Hard,
in a
harder
and
to win it that way.
yeah, in a NASCAR, I mean some, but not all NASCARs or majors are the same. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you win diamonds, it's bigger than like winning another one that doesn't have those fighters. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. So, well, here's another one. Um, so I think if you win a NASCAR overall in forms, back actually, I believe the top forms competitors right now are the best ever. They're the best ever.
yeah, man, they do seem
You
they're
can't
doing
go
some
back.
insane
If you go
things.
back 6 years ago, these guys would beat anybody 6 years ago. In
But
fact, the
you
guys
but
6 years ago would
But you could say that from the guys 6 years ago, they could beat the guys 6 years before them. It's like there. It's really it keeps
exactly.
evolving,
And
right?
that's why with
Yeah,
forms, you can say, I'm literally looking at the best I've ever seen. But
yeah,
that's not the case with fighting. I could go back 6 years ago. That fighter could beat these guys now.
yeah.
It's
Hey,
getting
look,
better, but it's
look
not
at
impressive.
look at this guy Yoskar.
Yeah.
He was winning from the '90s, like, and he comes here with the same style, and he still hangs in there with the top fighters of now. So
Yeah.
um, points is points. You know what I mean? But like you said, but like forms and weapons, they're doing crazy stuff that you're like, damn, what you didn't see that. You know, like they're
No.
inventing so much crazy things. Hey, but man, I'm out of time. I wish I had more time, but we gotta end the show. I gotta go pick up these kids. Right? It's almost 3 o'clock here, and I hope everybody's having a great Monday. Thanks for tuning in, Alex. Great. You know, it's always great to have you. And we got to get a steady show on Mondays with you, man, because it's awesome. These shows are great.
Yeah, I love it.
And congratulations again on winning the event. Congrats. And that's awesome, bro. Congratulations. Have a great day. Power
Thanks,
to
man.
everybody out there. All right.
Power.